Hey everybody, Sabrina Bronner here with another dating and relationships video. And this video is called The Counterfeit versus True Love. So, for people who are not familiar with the idea or concept of the counterfeit, just to give you a very short definition, basically, the counterfeit relationship or love is a false or faked representation of the promise that God has given to a person for marriage. It's not the true thing, it's a fake. So that's why we say counterfeit, okay? So God is very interested in the relationships that we have. God cares about them, they're very important. And one of the reasons that they're so important is because the people that we're connected to and the people that we love have the power to affect and even alter our destinies. Okay, so there's so many different, if you can just maybe look back on your life and think about different relationships you were in, how you either grew with this person or grew apart with them, but you might have found yourself becoming a totally different person after dating someone, or you may have found yourself with different interests or different involved in different activities based on who you're dating or in a relationship with. And that's because of the power of the influence that the people that we are connected to have on us. Okay, so one of the best examples of this happening in the Bible is in the case of King Solomon. So in 1 Kings 11, you get a whole story about Solomon, and this story is even called Solomon's Heart Turns from the Lord. Okay, so let me find 11. So in 1 Kings 11, right there at the beginning, verse 1, it says, "But King Solomon loved many foreign women, as well as the daughter of Pharaoh, women of the Moabites, Ammonites, Edomites, Sidonians, and Hittites, from the nations of whom the Lord has said to the children of Israel, 'You shall not intermarry with them, nor they with you. Surely they will turn away your hearts after their gods.' Solomon clung to these in love." So despite what God has said about dating these types of women that he was not equally yoked with, despite what God has said to him, Solomon was like, I love them. I can't let them go. Okay. And he had 700 wives, princesses, and 300 concubines, and his wives turned away his heart. So, it starts off with a seed, a seed of, have you ever, had a tarot reading? Have you ever tried burning candles with your prayers? Something like that. I don't know. That's just an example. It starts off with little seeds like that turn into you turning away fully from God, or turn into you having a different concept of spirituality. But God would never send someone to you to turn you away from him and the things that he's already spoken to you to do or to not do. So that's the thing. The influence from a man or another person is making you turn away from the things that God already told you, in my sight, this is acceptable and this is unacceptable. Okay, so Solomon couldn't let none of the wives go. And it says, "For it was so when Solomon was old that his wives turned his heart after other gods, and his heart was not loyal to the Lord his God, as was the heart of his father David. For Solomon went after Ashtoreth, the goddess of the Sidonians, and after Milcom, the abomination of the Ammonites. Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord and did not fully follow the Lord, as did his father David." So it goes on. Solomon builds altars to all of the gods of his wives, and he burned incense to them. He sacrificed to their gods. And it says, "So the Lord became angry with Solomon because his heart had turned from the Lord God of Israel, who had appeared to him twice and had commanded him concerning this thing, that he should not go after other gods, but he did not keep what the Lord had commanded. Therefore, the Lord said to Solomon, because you have done this and have not kept my covenant and my statutes, which I have commanded you, I will surely tear the kingdom away from you and give it to your servant. So now Solomon is in a position where he's about to lose his legacy. God is merciful, so God does not take everything away from him right away, but he makes sure that he takes away from his legacy, altering his complete destiny and the destiny of his legacy, meaning his bloodline, his children. It says, nevertheless, I will not do it in your days for the sake of your father David. I will tear it out of the hand of your son. God, still being merciful, says, however, I will not tear away the whole kingdom. I will give one tribe to your son for the sake of my servant David and for the sake of Jerusalem, which I have chosen. So just that quickly, through who Solomon is connected to, through who he loves, his whole legacy and destiny is altered because of what he's doing that God does not approve of. Okay. So that's why it's so important to make sure that we're in the right relationships, make sure we're getting into the right marriages. And we have to be, in relationship with God. We have to be close to God to make sure that we're following in the correct pattern and order that he would have for us to follow in order to make sure that this happens. Okay. So I know that in our society, there's a lot of divorce, right? And people even use the fact that there's a high level of divorce to say, I'm not going to get married. It doesn't work, that sort of thing. But I truly believe that in our society, a lot of the marriages that we see are not working because God is not in them. Okay, so hear me out on this real quick. So, we get to the altar to get married and we stand before God and we say these vows, and that's the ceremony, right? But that should not be the first time that we're allowing God into our relationships with people. I believe that before you get there, there should be a pattern of praying. There should be a pattern of fasting. There should be a pattern of getting confirmation from God that you are indeed in the right relationship with the right person. That's extremely important to ensure. Too many of us get into the wrong relationships. Too many of us spend too much time in the wrong relationships. Our time is so precious. It's so precious. And by no means do you want to marry the counterfeit. And I'm going to give you the dictionary definition of counterfeit too. A counterfeit, by definition, is a fraudulent imitation of something else, a forgery. It's also described as a fake, a copy, replica, imitation, substitute, or fraud. So a counterfeit could seem right for you, but they are not the person that God has ordained for you at all. They are a false version or a substitute of a promise for godly marriage and relationship. And the enemy will always counterfeit God's purposes and promises for relationship in marriage. So maybe you're in a relationship now and you just have some questions about whether or not this person is really the right one for you. Or maybe you're even in love with the person, but you still have some questions. I'm going to give you a short list of things that come along with a counterfeit relationship. What kind of signs might pop up. And then I'm going to give you a short list of the differences between the counterfeit and true love. So it's important to remember that God does not want us to idolize relationships. God will want us to admire the person that we are in love with and wanting to marry, but not to idolize them. Okay, so we can't esteem them over God. Okay, so just a few signs of what might pop up in a counterfeit relationship. Counterfeit loves or counterfeit relationships, the person will find ways to put the blame on you. for incidents that happen in the relationship. They may find ways to put burdens on you. So this could be financial, or this could be physical burdens, or just shifting the heavy lifting or the weight of things that have to happen in the relationship to you. So just unbalanced things that are happening in the household with finances, things like that. Counterfeits come with red flags. Counterfeits will interrupt your prayer life and the pursuit that you have for God. Counterfeits will lead you to sin or try to pressure you to sin. Counterfeits manipulate. Counterfeits have a monitoring spirit. So, an example of what I mean when I say monitoring spirit, you might be trying to spend personal time with God through prayer, through reading the Bible, through reading a blog, through looking at a video, listening to music, worshiping. You might be having that quiet time with God or that personal time with God, and all of a sudden you getting blown up by somebody, you getting phone calls from somebody. That's counterfeit behavior. There's something that's compelling them to interrupt that time that you are spending with God. Like if they always are doing that, if you're always getting interrupted by the person, that could be a sign there. Okay? And they will try to get their will done over God's will in the relationship. They will maybe abuse you verbally or physically, or they may try to take advantage of you in some way. Okay? So the differences between the counterfeit and true love are as follows. All right, number one, the counterfeit will pull you away from God. The true love will bring you closer to God. So the person that you are in relationship with, their relationship with God will be a direct influence on their relationship with you. So if they don't have a personal relationship with God, it's going to play out in y'all's relationship. A personal relationship with God informs the person on how to love someone, how to respect someone, how to honor them as well. Number two, the counterfeit person will only speak to your vanity. So you may be persuaded to date them or drawn to them because of very superficial reasons, like their status or how fine they are, or whatever tangible benefits that they could come with. That might be the deciding factor on whether you get into the relationship or not. And maybe they're the finest person that you've ever seen before, but that's still superficial. Okay? The true love will speak to your spirit. Okay? So there will be a peace that you get in regards to spending time with them or to talking to them. They'll give your spirit a type of peace, right? You'll be drawn to who the person is, and then all their tangible benefits will just be a bonus for you. So their status, how fine they are, just whatever they've got going on or popping in their lives, all that is just a bonus to just how amazing this person is. Number three, the counterfeit person will try to control you, and their true love will protect. So the counterfeit uses control as a method to actually cover up their own insecurities. And what they're thinking in their head is, I need to make sure that you don't get to a place where you don't need me. You don't get to a place where you can see that I don't really measure up to you. You don't get to a place where you realize that you're too good for me. There's a insecurity within them that compels them to control you in some way. And it could be through finances, it could be through verbal abuse, it could be through monitoring you, it could be through all those things, it could be through belittling you and just putting you down. It could be through just a lack of love, a lack of support, and it is something that makes you feel boxed into the relationship and controlled, held back, and small. Okay, but the true love protects. The true love is secure. So they protect. That protection that we speak about when we want the husband to protect the wife, that's what the true love does. The true love will make you feel secure. They'll make you feel at peace, supported, comforted. It's a different type of freedom. They may have, things that on the surface could maybe look like control, but the difference is one is coming out of insecurity and one approach is coming out of actual love and a responsibility to make sure that you're safe. Okay. And number 4, the counterfeit will show you conditional love and the true love will show you unconditional love. So the counterfeit is showing you conditional love. So this means that if you gain too much weight, if you get sick, if you lose your job, they may start to reevaluate their place in the relationship and start trying to figure out how they can get out of it, because it's a conditional love. They didn't sign up for all of that. They signed up for, the benefits of being with you. They signed up for the good times of being with you. But they didn't sign up for being in the trenches with you or want to get too dirty. They wanted the fun stuff with you. So the true love's gonna show you unconditional love, that agape type of love that's selfless. And I've seen agape love between humans described as kind of like the parent-child love, but you can have that love with a spouse too. And as I was researching that, I actually had an incident. I was eating some popcorn and I had given my daughter some of the popcorn, and I'm watching her because she's very young and she's eating popcorn, so I'm concerned about, are you gonna, get a kernel stuck in your teeth or that kind of thing. And as in a split second, she just starts coughing. Now immediately my mind's like, oh my gosh, are you choking? I jump up and I go to check on her and she's fine. She's just coughing. And I'm like, okay, let me go sit back down. And as I go back to sit down, I noticed that there's a trail of popcorn on the floor that must have been either in my hand or on my lap or something. I'm not sure where it was, but when I thought she was in danger, something went off in my mind that I guess you can call it mother's instinct, but it was from love for my daughter. But something went off in my mind where nothing else mattered but making sure she was okay in that moment, to where I didn't even realize I dropped my popcorn all over the floor. Just a little bit of an example that came to me as I was researching this. And I was like, okay, this is exactly what they're talking about here. It's a selflessness that comes when you have unconditional love for someone. So that does it for this video. If you have not done it already, please subscribe, please like this video. And this video is going to be a part of the dating and relationships playlist. So if you have not seen the other videos, please check those out as well. And I will see you on the next video. Thank you so much. Bye.